Hello.
Hi there.
Back again.
Another week.
3 more movies. Again, we have 2 newer releases and 1 movie from the year 1990.
Our last one, if I recall.
Our last one, yes. At a later date, I would love to go over our favorites of 1990.
You think top 3, maybe? Top 5? Or just pick your first, this is my number 1 favorite movie of 1990?
I'm thinking at least a top 5, because we might not have enough movies to do a full top 10.
Sure.
And I also want to do worst movie, because that's fun as well.
I agree, yes. Show me what was the filth. What did you hate?
I
From
think I
1990.
already know what it's going to be. We'll get into it later, but I'm going to have to double check my Letterboxd scores just to be sure.
Sounds good. Where would we be without Letterboxd?
I'd be pretty disorganized.
Nah, you're pretty organized. You get your spreadsheets and your lists, and you curate everything to exactly what we're doing. It's very detailed. I'm impressed.
I'm crazy.
No. Organized. There's a thin line between organized and crazy. We tiptoe that very well.
Speaking of crazy, our first new movie
Yes.
that we watched was the new Sam Raimi, Send Help.
Send help. Oh boy.
With Rachel McAdams pretty early on, and maybe it's because we just watched this movie, but I really thought she was giving Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Yes, she
but
was.
in a good way. Like, she was
Absolutely.
phenomenal.
Rachel McAdams gave one of her strongest performances I've seen in recent memory, and I don't think I've ever seen her give a bad performance. That's how good she was in this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's an Oscar nominee, so...
There you go. What was her Oscar nomination for?
It was for Spotlight, which
Spotlight.
I really liked that movie. I remember making my mom, I was in high school, I made her take me to one of the bigger cities to go see it because my little town didn't get Spotlight. It ended
Yeah.
up winning Best Picture.
Oh,
I really
really?
liked it at the time. I think I only saw it that once, but I liked it.
Rachel is back and as fiery as ever.
She should absolutely be nominated for an Oscar, and she won't get nominated for one. Already, she got snubbed for Regina George,
True.
a performance that should have been Oscar winning.
You know what? She won the Oscar of people's hearts because everyone knows Regina George.
That's true. Regina George is pop culture canon.
Just mention Mean Girls. People know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But this movie has Rachel McAdams working in like a kind of corporate environment, like office environment. She is a introvert, sort of kind of weirdo at the beginning, as we are shown.
I don't even know if she's necessarily an introvert.
That's true. She does go around talking to a lot of people. I certainly wouldn't.
She's trying really hard to make friends, and everyone's kind of blowing her off.
Everyone's so mean to her.
Yeah, I guess they think she's weird, but I
Obviously,
don't know.
the movie really does the Princess Diaries style of let's mess her hair up a little bit and put some glasses on her. She's the ugly duckling of the office, of course. And that's how everyone treats her.
I just
Blasphemy.
can't understand how anyone could look at Rachel McAdams, even if they put her in glasses and frumpy clothes, and say, look at that unattractive woman. It's just, you're right, it's blasphemy. She's still very attractive.
But I actually think that plays in well with how she interacts with her boss, especially, but kind of that whole frat boy sort of environment. All her coworkers can't really see her for who she is and what she has to kind of give to her job and as a person. That kind of plays out throughout the movie.
It really does, because she's not, at least in the context of the film, she's not their type of stereotypical beauty or personality or interests, stuff like that.
Sure.
They want someone to punch down on. Maybe with the employees too, there's an element of, it seems like she was really close with her original boss. He was going to give her a promotion, maybe took her under his wing. So maybe there was a little bit of a teacher's pet element there.
And we established the business owner had passed away and his son is taking over.
Yes, the pictures of him were Bruce Campbell.
I missed that. That was so good.
Yeah, his son's Dylan O'Brien, who comes in, and it's kind of obvious he maybe isn't the most qualified for this job. It's a fully Nepo baby.
I was just about to say.
Here's why you got this.
But to get it out of the way early, I loved this movie.
Oh,
it is
this
so
movie
much
was
fun.
great.
This is probably my favorite movie of the year so far. We get, after our establishment of Rachel McAdams has this friction with her new boss. I keep wanting to say his name is Joe Keery.
No, that's Dylan O'Brien. That
Joe
is not
Keery.
Joe Keery.
Dylan O'Brien was in Twinless, right?
Yes. And here he plays Bradley, and Rachel McAdams plays Linda.
They have a castaway sort of situation where they're stranded on this remote island in the Pacific, I think.
Which, before we get there, they're, of course, on this plane. They're going to a business trip. Linda gets invited along as a
Little
kind of pity thing.
Yeah, a little pity move, I was about to say.
Because she's really mad that Bradley gave the promotion she was promised by his dad to his frat brother friend who works at the company.
Yeah, underqualified as well.
Exactly. And he was like stealing her work at the beginning of the movie and passing it off as his. It was very satisfying when they're on the plane and they start making fun of her Survivor audition.
They wish they could be as cool. Joe Keery wishes he could be as cool.
Dylan O'Brien.
Joe Keery wishes he could be as cool as Rachel McAdams auditioning for Survivor.
I bet
and
they
her video was
all
great.
Wished they had those Survivor skills.
Yes, I bet he does wish that.
I did think that was a really fun way to tie in that she knows what she's doing.
Yes,
marooned on the
she's a
island.
survivalist. Yes, really takes care of her own, knows how to take care of herself.
But I was really satisfied when the plane is crashing and that frat guy, he's grabbing onto her. He's like, give me your seat, which I don't know how she would have given him her seat in that situation.
She's like strapped into her plane seat. He's like holding on, trying not to get sucked out of the hole in the plane. All while saying, unbuckle yourself and let me get into your seat.
Yeah, I think that would just wind up with everyone dead.
Just shows how little regard for her they had.
You know, she kind of cuts him loose.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just hanging on to the side of the plane.
If you've ever gotten like your coat stuck in your car door and not realized it as you've been driving away, that's what this reminded me of. He's flapping in the wind.
It was great.
This is definitely like a dark comedy, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
And we'll get into it. This might even turn into my favorite kind of movie, but we got to flesh it out a little bit more. They crash land onto this island, or no, they crash into the sea, and Rachel McAdams kind of washes up on the island.
Yeah.
She and Joe Keery are the
Joe
O'Brien are the only survivors. He's injured
He is. It's
starting
like
out.
His leg or something.
Yes. She wakes up on the island, immediately starts making a shelter, finding some food and water, the survivalist stuff.
Yeah, and then once he finally wakes up, I think they establish he was out for a few days.
Mm-hmm. Immediately goes back to, I'm your boss, you need to listen to what I'm doing. Dylan O'Brien gave a great performance of kind of your almost stereotypical Nepo son takes over a company and starts to ruin things. This movie gives it a unique twist. I'm going to keep probably comparing this to Castaway in some regards. You haven't seen that movie,
I've never
have you?
seen Castaway, no.
Tom Hanks on a deserted island alone, learning how to survive. This similar elements in this movie. But I thought Dylan O'Brien gave a really good portrayal, but this movie kind of took it to new places, which I appreciated. None of the tropes were, tired or outdated.
I agree. And I feel like we got the perfect amount of time in the, I'm going to call it before era, before they're marooned on this island.
Before crash, yep.
Because I think we really needed to see the way this woman is treated day to day.
For no reason. She's lovely.
Exactly. And how she lives her life in order for everything that she does on the island to feel satisfying. Because even though she's definitely wielding her power in a bit of an abusive
No,
manner
no, no. Justified.
to a point where
Justified.
she's committing murder.
Well,
I
self-defense.
was still rooting for her.
Yeah.
I was rooting for her more than him.
We're on the island. Dylan O'Brien is going to slowly learn that he's not in charge anymore.
I also think right off the bat, it said a lot about him when she essentially gives him the whole spiel of, I'm the boss now. I'm the one with the power now.
She gives him so many chances of, hey, let's just kind of work together to survive. And this guy has so little kind of situational awareness. He can't see like the circumstances have drastically changed.
Well, and then one of the first things she says to him is, well, you're going to have to do something for me, or you're going to have to, do things for me. And he immediately starts trying to take off his pants. And she's like, no, not that, like, no. And that immediately made me think, oh, that's the kind of guy he is.
Yes.
Like, that's how he would behave if he had power in one of these situations.
It's what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Good catch, yeah. I appreciated them showcasing sort of the steps that Rachel McAdams was taking for, like, collecting things to then build a shelter, making tools to catch some food, digging a little pit with some coconut kind of cups to catch rainwater.
Yeah.
They showed Dylan O'Brien later trying to emulate some of these things, and since he is kind of untrained on all that, how quickly he kind of reflective of a normal everyday person wouldn't be able to really survive that easily. I thought that was really well done, and at the same time, it didn't linger on that too much. This movie was very well paced overall.
It was. It didn't feel too long. What was this, like 2 hours?
Yeah, something like that.
And this guy, man, does he keep trying to get away or trying to outsmart her, but she seems to be 2 steps ahead of him.
Oh, he's so far out of his element.
And she ends up getting a knife. She says it just washed up on the shore.
Yeah. As the audience, we're like, okay, that I guess is as likely as anything else washing up from the plane crash. I thought it was from the plane that she had gotten it.
I had assumed so at first too, but we do learn pretty early on. It's kind of like Yellow Jackets. She finds other people and like a part of the island where there's maybe some civilization or some help, and she's not going to tell him.
She finds herself with the power, really, in this situation, and she's very hesitant to give that up and to return to a normal life. I think she sees a boat or two going by at some point and doesn't want to flag them down or anything like that, and that continues to unfold and shows what lengths she's willing to go to not be rescued unless it's on her own terms.
Yeah, because I got the impression she would be completely fine with staying on this island for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
Because she finally has power over someone.
Take some control.
I would think she would miss her pet bird or worry for its safety, but I'm guessing someone was feeding it.
I guess so.
I think we saw the bird at the end.
Yeah, I think.
Now, in the points when Bradley starts to get a little bit of an upper hand, he decides, me lording my power over this woman isn't going to do anything. I need to emotionally manipulate her. Like, even the confrontation at the very end, he kind of gets one up on her by saying, I love you. I'm in love with you.
Yeah, he's trying desperately in the only way he knows how to try to manipulate her, and it doesn't always go very well for him. I feel like Rachel McAdams gives him so many opportunities to just like, hey, let's work together, or stop trying to get away, or, I mean, he tries to steal the knife a couple times.
Which, there was that one scene you were a little bit disappointed.
What scene was that?
Where he tries to steal the knife and then she winds up, doesn't she feed him something that makes him fall asleep?
Okay, full disclosure.
He can't move.
I loved this movie. This was so close to being a 5-star movie for me, but we were this close to greatness. We have the scene where I feel like Rachel McAdams has given Dylan O'Brien a few opportunities to like, hey, stop trying to pull one over on me.
Yeah, this is like his third time doing that.
And he's like gone so far as like trying to kill her or just like incapacitate her to escape. She feeds him, I think she said it was like blue ringed octopus.
Yes,
meat.
that was it. And she'd been saving it in case she needed it.
Something like that, yeah, too. He eats it and is like paralyzed. He's aware, but he can't move or anything like that. And we get her. She's heating up the knife in the fire. I'm getting excited. I'm sitting up on the couch going, oh boy, where are we going with this?
Well, she starts explaining this, I think, Roman practice that they did when people were insubordinate. You're more of a history guy. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like it could be.
I suppose that is as likely when trying to pacify someone who is effectively your slave. But yes, she makes as if she's going to cut off some important bits of his to kind of placate him a little bit, pacify him, I guess I should say, while he is paralyzed but still aware of what's going on. I think she says he can't feel any pain, and we started to have it all. We get the good close-up scene of Dylan O'Brien. He's like trying to, you can hear him like screaming and crying in his head, but he can't move or anything. We get the blood splatters.
And you see her moving the knife and you hear the squelching.
I'm thinking, oh, we are actually getting a full-fledged, how do I even word this?
Cutting his balls off.
Denutification, I think is the clinical term. But no, it was just a warning. She was gutting a poor innocent rat to use as the blood splatter.
Maybe they ate it later.
Such a waste. That could have been their friend. So when they revealed no, she didn't actually, I thought we were going to have a full Theon Greyjoy meets Ramsay Bolton situation where he's now her like slave. Pretty much, well, I don't know, she got my balls off. I'm just going to follow her around now.
Poor Theon Greyjoy.
But no. Honestly, this movie is a victim of what it refused to do. It has no balls. It wouldn't go all the way. If we had to push it. Now, that's dark and twisted, don't get me wrong, but that's what makes it memorable. That would have made it 5-star for me, but alas.
Just 4.5.
But he's obviously kind of traumatized after that experience.
Yeah, it does kind of put him in his place, because she says, next time, I'm not going to fake it.
I'm not going to fake it. Yes, I'm in control here. And instead of learning this lesson, he yet again keeps trying to plot and figure out, okay, how can I either get away or kill Rachel McAdams? What an idiot. What a loser.
Yeah. And then as the movie progresses, she's just getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah, she's flourishing in the kind of survivalist environment they're in.
And it's like, sir, you should be so lucky.
They kind of tease around with like they're starting to develop feelings with each other.
I think he's bullshitting the whole time.
I do think so. This portrayal, I think, is trying to leave us guessing.
It does. And I do think the performance does a bit, but by the end of the movie, I was like, yeah, he was faking it the whole time.
Because this movie did it really well, and I was starting to fall for it, thinking, okay, Rachel McAdams was our protagonist, but she's become so power hungry and kind of twisted that, and Dylan O'Brien has sort of learned his lesson, is starting to reform. He's kind of now our protagonist, trying to get away from the kind of deranged individual. But you're right, he was once again not learning and still trying to be manipulative.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the movie was ever trying to frame it like I should be rooting for him, because I never was. I was always rooting for her over him. I'd say the worst thing she did in this movie was when Dylan O'Brien's fiance, she's out looking for him. I guess they really love each other, because you see her at the beginning of the movie and it's like, oh, he's with her because she's obviously a very attractive model and that's his whole MO. But they seem to love each other, considering she was in the little tiny boat with the guide looking all over this area for him.
She's like, everyone else gave up, but I wanted to keep looking.
Yeah.
And they find Rachel McAdams first.
Yeah, they find her first. And
she doesn't want to leave the island.
No,
That's
not
the
at
thing.
all. And so she does end up killing both the fiance and the guide, which, I mean, the fiance seemed nice enough. I don't think she deserved to die, but even if she had,
collateral
that poor
damage.
Man was just trying to do his job.
You know what? If that fiance was willing to marry and be with Dylan O'Brien even before he started to kind of learn his lesson. She was probably as rotted as he was, and Rachel McAdams was doing the world a favor. I said what I said.
I see your point.
The tour guide,
he was just trying to do his job.
Collateral damage. He should have known better when a bunch of Americans start sniffing around saying, hey, take us places. It's never going to end up well.
So that's what he gets for trusting Americans?
I actually think the fiance was she British
I don't
or
think
something.
she was American. I think she had an accent.
Well, the lesson stands. Don't help people. Let's move on.
Yeah, so that's probably the worst thing she does. There's even a scene where she's made some alcohol and they're getting drunk and she starts to get vulnerable with him, talking about her husband who had died.
Abusive ex-husband, it sounds like.
Yeah, she doesn't get too detailed, but she brings up this one night where it sounds like he was probably hitting her. He probably assaulted her.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this all when he was drunk. He was an alcoholic, an abusive alcoholic.
I think she puts it as he did some things he should not have.
Yes. And you know immediately what she's talking about. She says that she would always hide his keys because he would get mad,
get drunk,
beat her, and then try to leave. But she would hide his keys because he's too drunk to drive. That night, when he does this horrible, horrible thing, she pulls the keys out. She puts them on the table and he goes off and he drives and he dies. And you know what?
That's fair.
That is fair. I don't even think she was wrong for that. Look, he could have really hurt other people, which that's
collateral
awful,
damage.
But it doesn't even sound like that happened. It sounds like he just ended up dying himself, and it sounds like he deserved it.
I'm trying to recall, did she imply she gave him like something else, like maybe like spiked his drink or something like that before?
I don't think so. I think it was just implied that
like, here's your keys, I hope you crash your car or something.
Like, she would always hide his keys. And then this one night, she's like, I'm done. And she doesn't hide his keys, or she pulls his keys out.
For me, if anything, that helped add the nuance to the character. Like, she's gone through so much. And in the beginning of the movie, she's still trying her best to be a good worker and
she's trying to be friendly.
Employee. Yeah, she's trying to be friendly with everyone. She's outgoing and trying to... You're right, she's not... I took her, I guess maybe, let's say nerdiness, for example, at the beginning as introvertedness.
Yeah, it's just kind of apparent she's very lonely.
Yes.
We see a scene of her at her home by herself. She's doing what I used to do when I had to go into the office and I lived alone. You come home, you make a dinner, you sit down, you watch some TV. I didn't have a pet bird I would talk to, but she has her pet bird.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that loneliness that she feels at home is a big reason why she wants to stay on this island. She doesn't feel lonely on the island. She feels needed and wanted. In
valuable.
A way. Yeah. Because at the end, like we said, what almost gets her is he said, I love you. And she believes it for a second.
Yeah.
And then she realizes he has a weapon and takes him out, which he deserved.
We get the great end fight of them kind of chasing each other. We discovered that there's been a house on the other side of the island the whole time.
Yeah, that's where she got the knife. I'm pretty sure that's where she got the nice sushi, too.
Yes, she found the house kind of like early on. They've been on the island for like weeks at this point.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I found this a few days in. What do you think a knife just washed up on the beach?
Yeah, well, you idiots.
I thought that was all really well. I thought that was a believable twist.
Yeah, some billionaire lives there and he's never
like part
home,
of the year, yeah.
He has people stalking the house.
This movie, even starting with the rat blood scene where we think it's him getting pieces cut off, this movie wasn't afraid to get gory, get kind of squelchy sometimes.
Yeah, this was very peak Sam Raimi,
yes,
I feel.
Yes, what you would expect, but in a good way.
There's all the tension, but still the humorous elements and some of the kind of gross... I wouldn't call this a extremely gory film.
No,
but there's some intentionally gross moments, which felt a lot like Drag Me to Hell.
We get some vomiting scenes. We get lots of like characters are so like distraught from lack of like food or water. We get lots of like blood and drool, and the makeup was phenomenal.
Oh
all
yeah, the
throughout.
makeup's great.
I still think of, we get the ending fight scene. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Jonathan are fighting back and forth. He grabs her hair and rips a chunk of hair off of her head.
Yeah.
That was so gnarly looking.
It was.
I thought she had lost her eye at one point, but he like poked into her eye.
Oh yeah, and like you see her
starting
eye
to like pop
move,
out.
and that was.
She
good.
has it later, so I think that's okay. But it's at that point I'm like, okay, is she supposed to have gone so far that she's now the villain and he is trying to escape having reformed? But you're right.
I was always rooting for her.
That's fair. That's fair.
This is a good for her movie.
This is, yes, ultimately, this is my favorite kind of movie. This is a good for her movie, and she takes her revenge. We think that at the end, Dylan O'Brien has the upper hand. I think he gets a shotgun or something, or she has a gun.
She has a gun. I think he gets it off of her at one point.
Then there's no shells in it.
Yeah.
And then she takes him out finally with a golf club.
Mm-hmm. And then when she gets rescued, we learn that, well, now she's gone home and she's written a book and she's essentially famous now. So it all worked out.
I really liked how she took Dylan O'Brien's idea from when early on, he's trying to build a raft to escape. And she's like, that's a terrible idea. One, you can't build a raft. His falls apart immediately. I think they say at the end when she's being interviewed, she is found adrift at sea. So she kind of used his kind of believable idea and is then able to explain away if she doesn't know what happened to everyone else.
I like that. I didn't catch that.
So yeah, she wrote her book, told her story, got famous, and is living her best life.
With
good
her
for
bird.
her.
Yeah,
good for her. I loved this movie. I think I enjoy Sam Raimi's work kind of throughout.
Same.
This movie, I think, did very well because you had this very small cast of characters overall. You got to have a very good focus, but it didn't overstay its welcome or make any, like, nothing did not make sense throughout. I think the only kind of questionable thing I kind of saw, and it's realistic, is when Dylan O'Brien immediately finds the body of his fiance that Rachel McAdams tried to bury on the beach.
Yeah.
I figured she would either throw it out to sea or, something like that, but it was a way to move the plot forward.
It was.
The mixture of prosthetics and blood effects and CGI and just the acting is so
the acting's
top
incredible.
tier. I agree with you. Maybe this movie will fly under the radars for a lot of people. It's maybe a little too, I don't know, would you call this a twisted movie? It was close to being twisted.
I don't think anything in this movie happened that made me too uncomfortable, which I appreciated because this is a premise that could get really, really dark, and it never really did.
That
to a
castration
point that I was
scene,
uncomfortable.
That castration scene could have won Best Picture, I swear.
I think this movie came out too early in the year for
Yeah.
Oscar consideration, and it's just not really the kind of genre they usually go for. Of course, I mean, who knows? Weapons won an Oscar last year, so.
That's true. But this is probably my favorite movie of the year so far. 4.5 stars. Good for her.
I'm going to give this on our numerical scale.
Oh, yes, I flip-flop. Let's say I'm going to give this a 95%.
I'm going to give this a 93%.
It's dang good.
And its Rotten Tomatoes score is 93%.
See, I had high hopes for this, and it mostly paid off. I don't know. Sam Raimi, when you make Send Help 2, you got to go all the way.
I'm going to say this is worth the hype, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, some people who are a bit squeamish might not enjoy this very much.
If you have not enjoyed other Sam Raimi movies, you might not like this. That's okay.
Yeah.
If you like Rachel McAdams just doing her thing, go for it.
Fantastic. And I've never seen her do a role like this before.
Oh,
like
very
I
intense.
said, very Kathy Bates and Misery.
Yeah.
Loved it. All right, so our next movie that we watched, it's another 2026 release, a bit of a smaller release than Send Help. This movie was called Fantasy Life. It stars Amanda Peet, who I enjoy her whenever I see her.
Seen her in some things.
And then the lead guy, the character's name was Sam. He is played by Matthew Shear, who also directed and I believe wrote this movie as well. So, a project like that, kind of a auteur, which usually those wind up being, I feel like, smaller, pretty focused movies about a very specific maybe feeling or reflection on life. And for the most part, I don't think there was anything wrong with this movie.
No. We get our character Sam, and he seems to be sort of a down on his luck working guy.
And he has pretty bad anxiety.
Yeah, like social anxiety, I guess.
Yeah, he gets panic attacks. He sees a therapist. The opening scene is interesting. He's talking with his therapist about he thinks he has OCD because he has intrusive thoughts that he thinks are
anti-Semitic, I guess.
Yeah, he thinks he's being like self-hating.
Yes.
And having these, because he's Jewish, so he feels like he's having these self-hating, anti-Semitic OCD intrusive thoughts. And the therapist the therapist was funny.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of blows over it. I don't know how effective of a therapist he was, honestly.
This therapist makes some questionable decisions. You're not wrong.
Yeah, because they end up hanging out socially because isn't the therapist...
They're like a family friend or they're related somehow or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Was the therapist Diane's dad or was that the other guy? No, that was the other guy. Oh, the therapist is Diane's husband's dad.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure Diane's dad was Bob Balaban. Yeah. He was pretty funny in this.
And Sam essentially ends up becoming sort of like a babysitter, or they call him a mammy. And he starts taking care of the 3 daughters for this family. He becomes more integrated with their day-to-day lives. He's looking for that.
Yeah, because he gets laid off from his job.
Right.
I think he works in a law firm.
Right.
And he needs a little cash. The receptionist, who is the family friend, I think, she says, oh, well, his son needs someone to look after the daughters. And so he shows up, the dad of these girls. He doesn't really know this guy, maybe in passing a little bit.
Yes.
And he's just like, well, here's my 3 daughters. I'll be back at 2 a.m. Not like a very smart decision.
No.
I mean, Sam, he's a safe individual, but you didn't know that man, It's
established early on that the father in this family, he's
a musician.
He's a musician. He's very self-centered.
Yes.
Absentee a little bit.
But it seems like he is being more the parent in the front seat at the beginning of the movie because Diane, she is an actress and it's very obvious she is dealing with depression.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see her not really being able to get out of bed.
Maybe like been out of work for a while.
Yeah, she's been out of work, but then she's also turning down auditions or saying, I'm not going to do that.
Still being very selective.
And it's like, girl, just do the sci-fi show. It's fine.
Still trying to ride past success to newer heights where it's maybe like, hey, just take the work sort of situation.
Exactly.
Everyone has their kind of flaws in this roster.
Yeah, for sure. And then Sam and Diane, I think this is maybe where the fantasy life comes from. I think it's very easy when Sam is over there and with the kids and the dad's not around.
With the kids.
Yeah, he is almost inserting himself. Even in the first time he's over with them, he sees the pictures of Diane on the fridge. And there's almost this sense of, oh, what if this were my life? What if this were my house and these were my kids and this was my wife?
You're right.
How would that make me feel? It's the fantasy life. And Diane's feeling very stuck. And I think
her marriage isn't doing so great either.
No. And I think she maybe finds a bit of that escapism and that fantasy with Sam.
Yeah, some comfort.
Because they connect on a pretty decent emotional level. I think they have similar interests. He encourages her, which I don't think she gets a lot of from her husband.
Oh, no, not at all, yes.
And they never really take it to the next level. They make out one time.
Yes,
And she lies and tells her family that they've been having an affair.
She's trying to basically hurt her husband because their marriage is doing so badly and they don't really like each other anymore. So, I mean, it was understandable. It wasn't the right decision to make.
No.
But I think Sam, do you think he tries to like insert himself too much overall over the course of things? I mean, obviously he shouldn't have made out with his employer, I guess.
I don't think he's doing it on purpose.
He sort of is broken too strong of a term. He's trying to just do whatever he can, but he's also still dealing with these like panic attacks and stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then it gets to a point, the panic attacks are kind of happening where, oh, I was out with the kids and had a panic attack and they thought I was dying and it was like a scary situation.
Yeah.
And they were on the side of the road, these 3 little kids.
When I kind of think about it, a lot of this movie is these different characters, from Diane to the husband to the therapist. They're dealing and reacting with Sam's vulnerability in different ways throughout. Diane sort of wants to nurture it, help him. She goes, I can fix him. The husband is kind of put off and, who is this guy sort of thing. Eventually he starts blaming Sam for a lot of the issues that maybe his marriage is having.
Yeah, that were probably present before Sam even showed up.
And then the daughters are at first receptive to Sam, but then they're like, what's wrong with this guy sort of situation, or just kind of look past him.
Yeah.
Even the therapist he hears out Sam's anxiety issues and things like that and deals with them as sort of not as deeply or as well as maybe he should have as a therapist. Instead, he starts having Sam work with his family too much.
Yeah, when Sam is going on family vacation with his therapist, that's a little bit of a line cross.
When you're at family dinner with your therapist, that's probably too much.
I don't know anything about my therapist's personal life because it's none of my business.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was not a terrible little movie.
No. I probably wouldn't rewatch this, but I wasn't mad that I watched it. It was pretty good.
No, I think this was a realistic depiction of just a lot of the tumultuous times you can have in trying to maintain marriage, working life, family. It's about a work-life balance, sort of.
Yeah.
And it was good. I start with my stars, and then we go to our percentages. Prelim stars, we'll call them. I'll just say like 3 stars. That's fine.
Yeah, 3 stars. That feels appropriate. I'm gonna give this movie a 68%.
Ooh, okay, a little lower.
Slightly above average, but not to a point where I'm not really gonna think about this movie much in a few weeks.
Yeah, I was not as entertained with this as, say, something with Send Help, for example. Yes, this was a quieter tone sort of deal, which definitely has
There's a place
fans.
for that.
There's a place for it. I agree. I don't think that was kind of my favorite that we've seen recently, but that doesn't make it a bad movie.
Exactly.
I'll give it 74.
Okay, nice.
Kinda just under like being like
certified
pretty good average. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm like 68. It's a bit above average,
Because you're right. It's like, it's a good movie, but do I want to watch this again? Not necessarily. That does affect the score.
Yes, for sure. And on Rotten Tomatoes,
yes,
this has an 81%.
Okay.
That's a bit overhyped for me. I would say, because, we paid for this. We rented it on VOD. I'm never really upset that I have paid to watch a movie, but if you're being a little more selective about that, maybe only if the plot sounds like something you would really connect with, or if this movie sounds like the vibe that's up your alley, you know?
Exactly. I don't think this was quite for me. That doesn't make it a bad movie, but I think this movie had some cringe levels, some awkwardness throughout the way the characters acted and the plot that was a little bit more than what my tolerance was. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, yeah.
When your main character is kind of shy and awkward, and that kind of permeates throughout, and it's important to the movie, that's just not quite what I would find, especially in a something I would want to watch again.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in the sequel. He'll finally break up that marriage. I'm your daddy now.
You know, I'm sure this guy will make another movie, and I'd be interested to see what it's about, for sure.
Now, let's get down into the dirt real fast. I need to ask, do you think, and I could be wrong, I'm learning, do you think since this, the main character is also the director and he wrote the film, right? Mm-hmm. Him writing a scene of making out with the hot Amanda Peet is weird. I don't know. I'm learning.
I don't think it's weird in relation to the script. I understand why
in relation
that scene
to the
was in
story.
there. It's not like he wrote in some graphic sex scene
That's
with a lot of
true.
nudity, so I don't think it was weird.
The reason I was asking that, I think back to it because I see this pop up on Reddit of all places as a meme sometimes. The one movie, I think it's called like Chef, something like that, with Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah, and
he writes
he's like
dating-
Sofia Vergara is his ex-wife,
Yeah,
and
he's
his
dating
girlfriend
Scarlett
Johansson.
I'm like, are
Yeah.
we going with that kind of situation here? But you're right. It's more important to the story and it makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know this man. I would be surprised if he didn't find Amanda Peet attractive. I would be surprised if most people didn't
That's
find
not what
Amanda
I'm
Peet
saying.
attractive. But I think she gave a really great performance.
Yeah.
So
Very, very.
I'm sure whatever audition or meeting she had, that was probably the reason she received the role.
Not a terrible movie.
No.
Give it a shot if you want. If
There's
you
a
want to
place
feel like
for
something
it.
watching kind of quieter.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right, and our last movie, it's our last one from the year 1990,
We
our
did
last
it.
certified fresh
Yeah.
from that Wikipedia list I'm pulling from. Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands.
Which I
Classic
know this
Tim
is
Burton.
more, yeah, classic Tim Burton, like you said, but you and I have never
I've
sat
never
down
seen
and
this.
watched this movie.
Mm-mm.
It was nominated at the Oscars for Best Makeup. That's understandable.
I get it. We have feelings on Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and Danny Elfman. And you know what? I'm side-eyeing Tim Burton.
I am trying to see just the movie apart from some of the people who
Yes.
partook in things. Like I said, this is your classic Tim Burton. You've got your weirdness in. What I mean by that is I've always seen Tim Burton, you almost have this cool blending of what I view it as almost like a cartoonish effect through some of the things. And you get a lot of that from the practical effects that they do so well in all his movies, and this one especially.
Yes, I agree. Honestly, this movie reminded me a lot of maybe a toned down John Waters movie.
Okay.
There's this campy element.
Yes.
Very eclectic characters, but still a very unique visual style.
Mm-hmm.
We think of the gothic style with Tim Burton, and there's elements of that here, especially in the styling of Edward, but
I like the mansion like on
Yeah.
the top of the hill that he's staying. It's cool.
most of this movie's styling is the bright suburbia. I liked
Yes.
that the houses were different colors, and then they were pulling the cars out, and the cars were the same colors as the houses.
See, I almost took that as it being a critique of the
Yes.
cookie cutterness of suburban life, and I thought they portrayed that so well.
did.
Everything in all the houses, the cars, even like they were showing a lot of the housewives and their haircuts, especially.
Yep.
They're just different versions of the same thing.
Exactly, because it's a very eccentric movie with like over the top characters, but even then, I still felt like, as someone who's lived in a small town, I think the satire on what I've always called small town mentality was spot on. I don't know
Exactly.
where Tim Burton is from. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe he grew up in a small town, but I think those were my favorite elements of this movie,
I
was
agree.
critiquing that suburban small town society and the way people act and how nosy people are and the fake niceties.
It's probably part of the point of the movie, but I think overall we'll get into the more details. I think I liked that aspect of the movie more than I did whatever story they were telling with Edward Scissorhands.
I did too. If it had just been about the Avon lady,
She did great, yeah. I thought she was a great introduction.
absolutely. And that was a really smart way to introduce the neighborhood and the side characters by having her knocking on all the doors, selling the Avon, which is also a very small town thing, you know?
This movie did a great take of your nosy neighbors,
Absolutely.
which I loved.
Thought it was really interesting, the scene where Edward has just come home with the Avon lady and the neighbors, when she's driving in with him, they're already looking in her car, saying she has a new person with her.
And you think that it's ridiculous until you run into it in real life, because I've encountered neighbors like that. Hey, we saw there's someone, you rode in with someone or someone's at your house. What's going on with that? None of your business.
Yeah, none of your business. I have friends.
But yeah, neighborhoods be like that.
Yeah, and the town where my family's from, super, super small. If you're walking around there, if people don't know you, they'll stop and start looking at you.
Oh, the gossip.
And then they'll try to figure out who you're related to.
Exactly.
I've had people I don't even know come up to me and say, "Oh, you're so-and-so's kid, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's wild. And so the housewives, neighbor ladies, they come up to her door, the Avon lady's door, and they say, "So you're having a barbecue today at 5, right? To welcome your new friend." And she's like, "What? No?" And then kind of gets just
railroaded pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and then everyone comes over, and that, I think, is very much a thing.
The mom is really trying to fit in with her community and neighbors and everything, and trying to have that popularity continue.
Yeah, and when she brings Edward home for the first time...
Questionable decision.
Yeah, she
must
goes
say.
to his scary mansion to try to sell Avon, and then she sees him and she's like, "Oh,
Come with me."
I feel bad for you. Where are your parents? Yeah, come on." I don't know how old Edward's supposed to be. He's kind of built out of a robot.
Yes, it's kind of that Tim Burton-y, just don't think too much about
exactly.
it. We combined these elements and it became a living thing. I do think, just to get it out of the way, the introduction and ending scenes of Winona Ryder made up as an old grandma talking to like her grandchild about this story.
Wild.
That was dumb.
It was.
That
We
was
didn't
not
need
needed.
that.
Or at least was an interesting take. It didn't work for me at the very least.
And so Avon lady brings him home, and her whole family just so happens to not be there at the time. Her husband, I think he's at a bowling event, and then her son and daughter, they're off somewhere. So she's like, "Edward, come and stay in my daughter's room with the waterbed."
Immediately, "Hey, Edward, I know we've got a pull-out couch with a queen size fully made up in the basement, ready to go.
And another bed in our son's room.
Yeah, no, take our daughter's bed." She was trying to give him the best treatment. Going about it in the wrong way, yes, but it was the thought that counts.
Yeah. And then her family comes home. I really, really enjoyed Alan Arkin in this movie.
He was great.
So fun.
He was chill.
Say, I love Winona Ryder. I think she was a bit wasted in this movie. I don't
agree.
think her character was very developed. And that's not her fault. I think it's more so the script. When people think of that character, they just think of the one scene where she's basking in the ice snow.
I did not like that scene. I thought that was kind of
cheesy.
It was cheesy to the point of like, this is dumb. I wish they would have cut this. Again, some things in this movie didn't just work for me personally, but I understand how it played its part in the film.
Yeah. I think in a way more of those scenes were trying to feel more like a fairy tale.
You're right.
Especially with the framing device of her as an old lady.
This movie
telling
is kind
the
of
story to the kid.
Yeah, it's fairy tale-esque. You're right. I thought the Scissorhands on Edward Scissorhand were neat.
Yeah, some of the stuff that they were doing, I guess the effects, I was thinking, I wonder how they did that.
Oh, I'm so stupid. I just remembered at the beginning of the movie, going back to the like nosy neighbor houses. The beginning sequence we see is the conveyor belt thing making the cookie cutters things. You remember that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just,
the
I
opening
just,
credits.
I just put that together. Moving on. I understand elements in movies, or at least you can tell them to me.
Hey, you got it.
It takes me a while, but I'll get there. Let's see. You're right. Winona Ryder was pretty wasted in this, I'd say, overall. No one was too developed.
Yeah.
I guess Edward is immortal. He just doesn't age.
He's a robot.
He's a robot, yes. I thought it was really funny when, after he saves the son from getting run over by the drunk boyfriend, Edward is still yet to learn, if I touch people, they might get cut. He's checking to see if the son is okay, but he's like, just keeps touching his face over and over again with the knife hands.
Yeah, it's like, bro, stop.
You're going to hurt him even worse. You were right. Alan Arkin he just did not care and was very chill with everything, go with the flow, instead of just being like a typical like suburban working dad, I guess.
He was such a fun actor. I loved Alan Arkin.
Absolutely. Yeah. Was this my favorite Tim Burton movie of all time? Probably not.
I thought it was quite good, though. I understand why people really love this movie.
It's iconic, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I think Tim Burton has probably improved on his craft since then.
I did keep thinking about John Waters watching this movie. I was like, I wonder what this movie would have been if it had been a John Waters movie. I think Johnny Depp that same year did a John Waters movie as well. I think he did Cry Baby that year. So he had an interesting start to his career.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like working with these very eclectic directors. And then I guess he just kind of went more into the mainstream and...
Hey, keep it weird.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely understand why Edward Scissorhands is probably considered like a cult classic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would say my favorite parts of it were the critiques on like community and neighbors and stuff, less so the actual Edward Scissorhands of it all, and even what was going on with Winona Ryder and their kind of little romance going on. Supporting cast was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
loved all the neighbors. I love the haircut scenes and how the hairstyles and like what they were doing to the like the dog styling and everything was getting more and more weird and extravagant and out there.
Yeah.
Overall, I'd give this movie like 80%.
Yeah, I can agree and see
Worth
why
the hype.
People are so attached to this movie. I think I can understand why a lot of people would really resonate with Edward as well. He's very different, an outsider. I can see how maybe he would be an allegory for marginalized communities.
Okay.
I think of the queer community.
Okay, sure.
Feeling very, feeling a kindred spirit in Edward, especially in this really cookie cutter town.
Kind of reminds me of almost like a Pinocchio style figure,
Yes,
instead of he's just got scissor hands. I was going to ask, is the character, he's got the knives for hands. It's kind of Freddy Krueger reminiscent.
Which is fun because Johnny Depp was in
he
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Was this character based on anything else, you think, or just kind of more of an original idea?
I think it was an original idea. In the opening credits, it said story by, it was like Tim Burton and a woman, and then she wrote the script. So I would assume the two of them just came up with it. So what, your score, you said an 80%?
Yeah, I'd say this is worth the hype. Is this going to be my favorite movie of all time? Of course not, but pretty good.
I'm going to give this an 85%. The small town mentality really resonated with me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then on Rotten Tomatoes,
people must love this movie.
This has a 91%.
Yeah.
It also has a 91% audience score.
Okay.
So same score there. We don't see that happen a lot. And, 85, 91, I'm going to say overall it's worth the hype.
Yes.
I don't think anyone is going to feel like they've wasted their time watching Edward Scissorhands.
No, it's memorable, no doubt.
It's one of those movies that I feel like a lot of cinema people are going to say, you need to watch this at least once,
Just listen to the title. If you know nothing about it and you hear, hey, you want to watch Edward Scissorhands? Yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, this one was good overall. I think it was fun. And if I am ranking our week, I'm going to say Send Help, Edward Scissorhands, Fantasy Life. But none of the movies were bad this week.
I agree completely. My ranking would be the exact same.
Nothing made me mad like The Grifters.
Right. I feel like I liked Send Help so much because Sam Raimi is able to combine so many different elements that are mainstream, but he's able to give such unique twists on things. What kind of genre would you say Send Help is?
A thriller?
Thriller? Yes.
But it's kind of funny, too.
It is. You've got this dark comedy, you got thriller, action sequences, good practical and CGI effects. To me, it reminds me of a roller coaster ride. It's a blast. I think that's what kind of put that ahead of everything else for me.
I agree. And then the performances just really knocked it out of the park.
Of the line. I hope this does get Oscar nominations. I would vote.
I would too, but it won't.
It's going to change every week, but Best Picture winner prediction right now, Send Help.
Send Help. Best Picture, Send Help.
Best Actor.
Best Actress, Rachel McAdams.
Best Actor, Rachel McAdams.
You know what? I'm still giving Best Actor so far this year to Bill Skarsgård in Dead Man's Wire.
Fair. All right.
Well, that was the week.
That was fun.
It was fun.
We are done with 1990. We're going to work on maybe doing a little bit of a ranking list. What were our favorite movies? We might.
Yeah, next week we're going to have 3 new releases. So maybe the week after that we'll do that 90s ranking.
So let us know, what were your favorite 1990s? It was a fun time. I like seeing these, to us now, seeming older style movies. Seeing the sheer variety that was available has been quite a refreshing experience.
I agree. I feel like I have a better understanding of what styles and tones were popular in the 90s.
And how things have changed and what's still similar.
Exactly. And I do feel like we see with a movie like Edward Scissorhands how that popularized a certain tone and style of movie.
Yes. Hey, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next week.
Goodbye.
So long.